Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we're going to go ahead and start solving multi-step equations with variables still only on one side. What we have written here for you are some general steps to solve any equation that you might give. Things I want you to really pay attention to is eliminating parentheses and combining like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So if we're saying like terms on the same side of the equal sign, you have to know what a like term is. A like term would be having something like a 2x plus 5x on the same side of the equal sign. Say we say that is equal to 14. What are 2x's plus 5x's? 7x is equal to 14. To start with, we're going to work with the ones like number 1 up here, eliminating the parentheses. So if you look like at example 1 is telling us that we need to first distribute. So think of distribution this way. Say you have 3 friends and you decide that you're going to bring them some brownies. Pretend that you only give brownies to 2 of your friends. Is it fair to that third person that they didn't get any? No, you want to make sure you give the brownies equally to everybody. The same way with that parentheses. This 4 right here, you need to make sure that you're giving to the 3b and the plus 2. The way you do that is through multiplication. So you ask yourself, what is 4 times 3b? You got it, it's 12b. And then what is 4 times a positive 2? Yes, it is a positive 8, and that is equal to a negative 88. The rest of this looks just like the problems that we did the other day. If you have plus 8, how do you move that to the other side? You would just simply subtract it. So minus 8, you end up with 12v is equal to negative 88 minus 8 gives you, man, you're on fire today. It gives you negative 96. Great job. Final step. I have 12v. Remember, this is multiplication. So how do you undo multiplication? You need to divide. So when I go ahead and divide that out, I get v is equal to negative 96 divided by 12 is equal to negative 8. Great job on that one. The next one I would like to focus our attention on, we're not going to do all of these right now, but I really want to look at problems like letter E. If you look at letter E, it's strange because we have this negative sign outside the parentheses. Whenever you see a negative outside a parenthesis or a negative just in front of a variable, think of it as a negative 1. So instead of looking at this saying negative 22 equals a negative 3x plus 1, you're going to say negative 22 equals a negative 1 times negative 3x plus 1. By drawing that 1 in there, we're reminding ourselves that we need to distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. Negative 22 is equal to, what is a negative 1 times a negative 3? You're right, 2 negatives give you a positive 3x. And what is a negative 1 times a positive 1? You're right again, negative 1. From here, we go through and solve our steps just like we've been doing. If I have a minus 1 by my variable, I'm going to start by adding 1 to both sides. So I get negative 21 is equal to 3x. My final step, you got it, divide by 3. And when I do that, I have a negative 7 is equal to x. The last type of problem like this that I want to go over is ones that have a fraction inside, because for whatever reason, we just get messed up because they look a little bit more complicated. I promise you this one is no different. We're going to keep looking at that. We have a 12 outside the parentheses. We need to multiply it by the 1/2 x and by that negative 2. So what is half of 12? Yes, it's 6. So 12 times 1/2 x is 6x. And what is 12 times a negative 2? Watch your signs carefully here. Yes, 12 times negative 2 is negative 24, and that is equal to 8. Again, Same two-step process that we did the day before. I have 6x minus 24, so how do I move that minus 24 over? I'm going to start by adding it. So I have 6x is equal to 8 plus 24 is 32. Final step, I need to divide both sides by 6. If you divide this in your calculator, you're going to see that you get a repeating decimal. I believe it's 5 point something repeating. We can't have it written that way. So when I see this fraction here, I don't want to write a repeating decimal. I need to ask myself, what can I divide both 32 and 6 by? Well, they're both even numbers, so I can divide them both by 2. 32 divided by 2 gives me 16. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. So my final answer is 16 over 3. Great job. Now we're going to flip to the other side of the notes. These ones all had to do with distribution. The other type of notes that we're going to be working with are the ones where we have to combine like terms on the same side of the equation. So if we look at my first example, here's my fence that I'm drawing. I need to look on the different sides of the fence to see if I have any terms that are the same. They're like terms. If you guys look at letter A, you see that there's a 3x and a 5x. They are like terms because they have the same variable. So if I have 3 x's and I'm adding 5 x's to it, how many x's do I have altogether? You got it. I have 8x minus 2 equals 22. Great job. Oh, what's that? You have a question of where that 8x comes from? Think of it this way. I have 3 x's over here, and then plus 5 more. So here's my 5 more x's. If I count those up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's where I get the 8 x's from. Now, moving on, I have 8x minus 2 is equal to 22. How do I move that minus 2 over? By adding that 2 just like before. So 8x is equal to, what's 22 plus 2? 24. Now we divide both sides by 8, and our final answer is, you guessed it, it is 3. Great, great, great. Let's look at one like letter C. Again, I'm going to divide this problem in half just like I've been doing. So there's my division through the equal sign. If I look on the left-hand side of the equation, I only have a 5. So 5 is equal to. If I look on the right-hand side, I see that I have a 5m and I have a plus 2m. So if I have 5 m's and I'm adding 2 more m's to it, how many m's do I have altogether? I have 7m. This is where you need to be careful. Look in the middle. Does everybody see in the middle how it has a minus 23? We want to make sure we carry down that minus sign. Be very, very careful. That little negative sign can make the whole difference in a right or wrong problem. So minus 23. How do I move that to the other side? You guessed it. Add 23 to both sides. You guys are on fire today. 5 plus 23, 28, is equal to 7m. My final step is divide both sides by 7. And if you did that correctly, 4 would be equal to m. I feel like you guys are doing such a great job that I can go on to something a little bit more complicated. So the problem I want to look at now is something like letter F. If I look at letter F, again, I am going to draw a line through my equal sign and look at the different sides. I have a 2x here and a negative 5x. If I have 2 x's and I'm subtracting 5 x's to it, what is 2 minus 5? Well, 2 minus 5 is a negative 3x, and then a plus 6 in the middle, so plus 6. That all is equal to that 12. Now, how do I move that plus 6 over? Right, I need to subtract 6 to both sides. So 6 is equal to negative 3x. Final step, what is that again? You got it. Divide both sides by negative 3, and that gives me negative 2 is equal to x. And that is where we are going to stop today. If you have any questions, feel free to see me. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Feel free to rewatch this video all you want. Thanks again. See you soon.